Now to introduce our speaker, Bonnie Mitchell. Oh, yeah.
Our speaker today is a very good friend of mine named Bagley. Nina grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, and from there, after graduating from high school, she made her way to New York City as an 18-year-old and figured out a way to make a living in New York City. And she entered and graduated from the Bagley Institute of Technology. And then she became a professional pattern maker. And after years of hard work, she found herself designing fur coats with Bill Black, which I just think is very, very good. I call Nina a woman of passion, and I think you'll be able to figure out why. After 18 years in New York, she came back to Columbus, living in German Village, to be specific, which is when I first met her, married her husband, Steve, and transferred her passion to painting, where she did frame pictures and painted bowling balls to sell at various
anything. I'm a hustler.
Then she started designing men's ties and has done a lot of that. She's worked on remodeling houses. She loves cooking, and she likes teaching. She teaches part-time at the Village Academy in Dublin, and that's her one and only part-time job now. She usually has 2 or 3. But now her passion is beekeeping. She's here today to tell us about her beehives and how she cares for them. So she told me that, I know she's been a big hit with garden clubs around Franklin County in Central Ohio. Linda's heard her a couple of times. Bonnie heard her a couple of times. And a lot of people start telling me about hearing this lady who talks about bees. The other ladies, not the men. But this is her first time to speak to a Rotary group.
Yes.
But she has a lot of things to tell us. So I'm happy to introduce and have you welcome my friend Nina Bagley. Thank you.
I'm not good with this thing, but I'll figure it out. I started beekeeping 10 years ago because of pesticides. I live in German Village, and I don't have children, but I notice these kids today are overdeveloped and their hormones are whacked out because of GMOs. So I started because of pesticides with 1 hive in my backyard, which ended up being 40 hives. I'm a queen breeder. I artificially inseminate. I ship all over the country. I've taken it to another level. The Twigs Garden Club donated $10,000 to Nationwide Children's Hospital in my name for just going around and giving talks to everybody. So I'm all about the honeybees. If we lose the bees, we have probably 4 years to live because we can't just live on grains and nuts. So it's 1/3 of our food crops. And so I'll just show you a little video that I put together to explain the colony collapse. The pictures are all my pictures that I take. So the honeybee, it's a common name. Everybody's familiar with our honeybees. You're starting to see more bees, which is good. They're not indigenous to our climate, so a lot of the times they don't make it through the winter. So we're trying to develop an Ohio bee that can withstand our climates and our harsh winters. So that's why I'm on the genetic line, and I'm inseminating with different types of bees that I have to see if we can't get a bee that will survive our winters.
Where do they go? Do they die?
They just die. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The problem with the bees, when I started, there weren't that many new beekeepers getting into it. Now we have so many new beekeepers getting into beekeeping, and it's a different type of. We're professionals now. We're not the old farmers. We have money. So people are buying hives and thinking they can just put them out there.
and the bees are going to take care of themselves. They don't. We have so many variables with diseases, pesticides that are killing the bees, and the harsh winter. So if you just buy a hive and stick it out there, you're probably going to lose it. So you have to understand how a colony works and how bees work as a group. So in the hive, we have a queen, a worker, and a drone. So once you understand that and apply that, usually your bees will survive if you take care of them. My success rate was 100% this year. I had a very good success rate. Half of my club lost their bees. Most of everybody lost 80% of their bees this year. So it was a really bad year. We didn't think we were going to have a good bee year because of the way the weather had started out being cold, and now that it's rainy and damp, it's kind of hard for the queens to get breeded. But what we did get was a heavy, heavy honey flow. So they have brought in so much honey this year that anybody that has bees, they're pulling their honey off now. But they pollinate our livestock. We need them for livestock. They pollinate everything. So we need our bees for fruits and vegetables. The colony collapse disorder they were saying it's colony collapse disorder, but there's so many things going on now with mice, hive beetles. People bring in packages in from Georgia and Florida. It's really bad because we're getting hot hives. The hot hive is Africanized. So these people, remember how the Harley Davidson, everybody became a Harley Davidson rider now, they all have money and cool bikes? That's what's happening with the bees. All these people that are affluent are buying bees and they're bootlegging them, people are bringing them in. And in Ohio, we can't control it like North Carolina. North Carolina and New Orleans, you can't take a bee into a parish or take it out without a permit. We're not there yet. North Carolina is. So we're trying to get to the point where your neighbor can go without inspection and not join a club and just bring bees up from Florida and start selling them. Because then what we're getting is Africanized bees coming from the south. And if we start getting those, because my girls are open mated, my queens mate with 20 different drones. So in the next 5 or 6 years, my queens are going to be mating with Africanized bees, and then I'm going to have a problem. So that's why I'm instrumental in inseminating, so that I can control my own gene pool. You understand that? Then we're going to end up with so many Africanized bees. But the colony collapse disorder is basically when you go in your hive, everybody's gone and the queen is just hanging out. And that's what they're finding. But now they're finding with the diseases and pesticides, they think it's pesticides. So the pesticides are what's really out in the cornfields. The people out there in the farms that have their bees, they're struggling because the pesticides are getting them. Monsanto's, we can't fight that. We try, but there's always going to be pesticides. So what would happen if we did lose the honeybees? Well, in China, they use so many pesticides and they harvested so much honey they pulled from their bees that they're hand pollinating in the Sichuan area. So you've got all these elderly Chinese people hand pollinating with their chicken feather going up and doing the pear and apple trees, and the young kids don't want to do it. So that's what would end up happening. We would end up pollinating everything by hand. And I don't think our generation is going to want to do that. Yeah. So if it takes Chinese people with a little feather and a brush climbing up a tree and smearing each tree with pollen, each person can do 30 trees where a bee would do 3,000. Okay, so I couldn't keep up with them a day. So you can help the bees. You don't have to be a bee person, but you can put water out with a little salt in it. They like that. They like flowers. You can, do your flower bed. I live in German Village, and I have that little hive back there. This was 3 years ago. And my neighbors are very friendly. And now it's got like 15. And my husband the other day said to my friend said to my husband, how many hives do you have in the backyard? He said 2. Sometimes just don't look. I show them under bushes. I show them everywhere. So I've got 10 now in the back and 3 on the side of my house. So I plant flowers that are friendly so that the bees will stay. But the bees are funny. Like they like poplar trees, and I could give them like all this great stuff that they like, but they're going to forego everything that I've given them. They're foragers, so they're going to go over to Schiller Park and pull as much clover as they can. So don't give the gold pile up for the silver pile. They're about abundance, so they go out every day. They make a beeline They're pretty neat. I see them go. They have the same path every day, and that's all they do until like 8 at night. They're hoarders, so they just come and pack everything in. So, and they don't bother my neighbors. They're very close. But if I put my beeline, the entrance out towards the alley, they just use that all day long. And it's really good because we have bums that come up the alley, come from Parsons, so I'm kind of on the hood. So I stuck a beehive right by my garbage can, thinking this is great. Nobody's going to get my garbage anymore. And they tried to steal it. I found this lady and this guy nailed against the wall the other day with bees on them. And I'm like, well, you can stay away from my stuff. What the hell's wrong with you? So that's what you get. So they don't come to the alley now and go to my garbage because they know I'm the bee lady and they don't need my garbage. So it's pretty good. Nobody's going to jump my fence. But they do love water. There are bees. The way the bees operate, everybody has a job when they're born. So as soon as you're born, you become a nurse bee. So you come out and you start taking care of your sister, and then you become a housekeeper that week, and then they hold court and they decide if you're worth being a forager or a scouter or a water barrier or an undertaker. So they'll give you a job, and you become the undertaker for the rest of your life. You take the dead bees out, or you become a water forager, and you go find the water all day, or you're the one that goes out and finds where the honey is. So if I'm the bee that becomes the honey forager, then I come back and do a little dance to show you where I found it. So it's called the wiggle woggle dance, where they give a half dance like this, and they let you taste it, they tease you. And so that tells the other sisters that I'm 2 miles out on the honey. So if I do like a full circle dance, then that tells them that I'm 5 miles out. And she tricks you by letting you taste it and getting you all excited and telling you how great it is, so you can sit back and watch you work all day. So I like it. That's a good job. So they're pretty remarkable, if, with every job they have. And you can see the undertakers taking the dead bee out and dropping it. They drop them in a pile. So it's kind of cool. And then we have everybody pollinates, not every just honeybees. So we've got carpenter bees are pollinators. We have the mason bees. So your tomatoes are going to get pollinated. The ladybugs, they're all accidental pollinators. They rub up against something and it pollinates. So we have a lot of accidental pollinators out there. So we have a lot of pollinators. So the carpenter bees are good. So this is what a picture of the other day was. See the queen up here? You can get an idea about how big she is compared to the rest of the hive. So she lays 2,000 eggs a day. So her job is just to lay as many eggs that she can lay a day. So she's the big girl back here. She's my giant. She's my mother. So I get $50 a queen from her and $200 when of the insemination. And they're just great queens. So that would be a carpenter bee that pollinates. And see how the pollinate? You can see all the pollen sprinkled on them. So pollen and nectar are primary foods for the bees. The pollen is their protein, that they need to get the babies going. And the nectar comes from the trees and the different flowers. So you can go out and I pull black locust off from my backyard. It's water white. It comes in stages. You got water white, amber, dark amber, and black honey. The darker it goes. So my honey this year was pretty water white, and it comes from the black locust tree. So I know they're pulling that off. I'm in Thurn, on Green Lawn, and we left the dandelions going for 2 weeks. So they pulled in all the dandelions with the yellow honey. So I know where my honey and what they're foraging on, where I live. And there's a propolis that's a sticky substance the trees put off that the bees seal their hives with. It's like a varnish. And it's really sticky and nasty, but if there's a hole or a mouth, they'll mummify it with this substance called a propolis that they get from the trees. They're the cleanest things on earth. So if you burn yourself, put honey on. It just takes the pain away and seals it so that you're not getting infections. See the tongue? I just got a really nice picture of her the other day. So you can see how her tongue is. So they trees such as the oak, the willow, the black locust, tulip poplar, all of these trees produce a lot for the honeybees. Franklin Park Conservatory, I take care of the bees there, and they're foraging and finding everything on their own now. So I don't have to feed them anymore. I used to have to put water with sugar on them, and now they're finding their own food, which is really nice. The nectar, the bees can see the colors and the shapes. They like different colors. So on my boxes, I'll do like a triangle in green. I'll do one in orange. They have a built-in GPS system, so they know exactly where they're going and right where their house is. So if I move their home, they're all going to just sit there. But if I have a hive that's weak and her sister next door is bigger, if I just swap spots, all those bees that went out and foraged that afternoon are going to come home and just fill that box up. And then I've got a big box again. So, but I can't move their spot. If I move their spot, then they have no place to go. They're pretty smart that way. And this is like the colors that they come in, all the different colors. So you can get a pretty good idea of what. And it's not like the honey in the store. The honey in the store is nasty. It has mercury in it. It has corn syrup in it. Because China has no regulations on where countries where they're sending out their honey. So they send it to India, and then India sends it back to us. So you should buy local honey if you can. They're fond of blue, purple, yellow flowers. They really like red, and they like the black-eyed Susans and zinnias. So you can just plant them in your yard. They love lavender. So my neighbor has lavender, like 50 lavender bushes, and my honey is all lavender. I can taste the lavender in it. So I can't, I like it, but sometimes I like a little bit more of variety. But they just keep going in her yard. So I can't control that. What we can do, we can, not be so quick to use the pesticides when we're pulling out pesticides for the bees. I know we need to use pesticides, but if you're going to spray for mosquitoes, do it late at night or early in the morning so that the bees, when they come out, they don't forage and get their moisture. So you can do it in the evening and in the morning. The butterflies, the same thing. They will all get into the pesticides if you don't use the pesticides right. A bee-friendly garden, clover. We just planted 2 acres of clover down at Thurn. Do you guys know where Thurn's on Green Line is? Okay, Albert let me put my bees back there. So he planted 2 acres of clover for me, and let me put 100 boxes out that I breed all my queens there. So that's where I harvest all my queens, down at Thurn. This is it. These are my big hives, and then farther down I have 5 more, and they just are packing in the honey. So these hives all survive the winter. So these are the hives that I go to graft off to make queens. So I'll go out and I'll pull the eggs from there, and I'll make daughters from there, and then I ship the daughters.
You said yours survived 100%. What did you do differently than the others that didn't?
Well, ventilation. They need ventilation, and I put them in the sun. I lined them all up against this fence, and I made a wind block, and I took a job at Columbus awning. I became a factory worker for like 6 months so I could get some of that awning. So I could go home and make up my own covers. That was incognito. And my husband said, you're crazy. But I couldn't find awning fabric in big parts. So it was there. So I took the job, and anything they threw away, I hauled it home and would sew up my tarps and I covered them. And I did insulated them, and to where they were nice and warm, it was like an oven.
So it's not exactly theft then that you're...
No, I couldn't go and pull it. Did you throw it away? Sure, you can have it. I had a motor. I need it on. Okay? So
I just wanted to clarify.
no, I needed it on, so I took a factory job. I had the skill. They needed me. It's just something I would have done when I was 20. But I got it. So they were very kind, and they gave me the awning stuff, and I had to sew it at home. So I did everything at home, and they made it through the winter. But ventilation, they need ventilation. A lot of the people this year didn't ventilate their hives, and they just put them into there, and they just baked. And they got moisture, so they need to ventilate.
Are you willing to take a few questions?
Yeah, sure.
When the hives are moving down the road, you see them on the back side.
Mm-hmm.
You said they go back to the same place every time. How do they find their way back?
Those hives are pollinator hives. They pull them out, okay, and they move them out for 6 months to go pollinate like cherries, almonds, blueberries. Yeah, they haul them from place to place.
But how do the bees find their way back?
They're not there long enough to know where they're at. They're pollinators. So they have fields of them and they're constantly moving them. Yeah. So they're professional pollinators. But this is the one in my backyard, and this is theirs where we put the queens out. But yeah, I do 300 queens a year. I'm a small business, and I ship them all over the country. My customers are all repeat customers for the last 6 years that I have. I wish I could make more queens, but I can't.
I'm an agricultural economist. What do you charge per queen?
A queen is $50 a queen and $200 if you disseminate it. Yeah. So when I inseminate, I have to collect the drones. People think, the beekeeping is hard. Once a queen is born, she's 21 days for her to emerge. Okay, so she has the drones that she puts out, 500 drones, maybe 800 during the summer, and then the whole hive kills them in October. The drones do not go through the winter with everybody, because they say they're useless and they just eat and they don't do anything. So the drones are very important. I need the semen because he carries 16 of the mother's chromosomes. So the other people think they're lazy, but he's important. And yeah, so once you get that and you get them going, people are calling you for the queen. This year was a bad year, so my phone's ringing off the hook. Nobody's bees have survived. And the queens that they're bringing in for Georgia are really tiny and they're not surviving. So if I had 5,000, I'd be retired. But yeah, basically.
The question of the African bees, what problems? I've read about them being aggressive and attacking people and animals. What is that the only problem you have to deal with?
I've seen them. They're aggressive. They're not fun. They're like a magnet. They're right on you and they just sting you. But they have not made it through our winters. But what we're worried about is that they get here, they're going to start adapting and then evolving, and then they're going to start making it through our winters. It's just a matter of time. We're trying to prevent that, but until we can get Ohio to pass laws that nobody can bring them in without permission to do that.
Is it breeding a problem? Is your shipment of the queen combat that?
Yeah, inbreeding is a problem. That's why I have Thurn, Greenlawn Cemetery, my backyard in German Village. I'm 5 miles in a big circle, and every one of those hives have my queens in them. So that I can keep my genetics going. I can't keep the daughters in there, so they all have to be separated. Because if I get inbred, then I get a queen that we call a laying drone. She just lays drones. She's useless. She hasn't been made a fertilizer. Sorry guys, I don't mean to put it like that. But they do throw you out in October, and there's a big pile of you. Yeah.
You said you were a professional beekeeper. Do you have an association? Do the rest of the people in your...
I'm with the Ohio State Beekeepers Association. I'm with SCOBA, and I'm on the web under OhioQueenBreeders.com. And
the reason I ask is for information from some of these groups need to get to the lawmakers to help change. Last year alone, the United States put down 400 billion tons of insecticides and commercial pesticides. 400 billion.
yeah, it's a lot.
And
It's a lot.
unless something changes, you're just going to see.
It's just going to keep going because we try to fight them, and it's just they come back saying that our bees were really hungry, and that's why they were starving last year. All the big bee inspectors came out from all the different states, and they said our bees were just starving. Our bees weren't starving. Our bees were being poisoned by something. They get something like Parkinson's. They come back and start to shake, and you can tell once they were tested, they had the poison down. Yeah, we have to get them tested.
Okay, Allison, last question.
Okay.
Well, I was going to ask what the resistance in the legislature is to preventing. I thought you were talking about just the transportation of bees into the state. Why wouldn't anybody vote for that kind of a law?
I don't know. I'm just one beekeeper trying to, I don't know. I'm trying. I don't know the right people. If I kind of knew the right people, I guess I could.
That's what your associations are for.
Yeah. Well, some associations don't do much. I'm on vacation all the time. Oh yeah, because you got me through meetings who doesn't say no, so I'm tired. But yeah, this is the bee world, so if you're willing to help us, just plant bee-friendly flowers.
Put a queen bee in the legislature.
I'll talk to you about
In
that.
Africa.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a question as well. So I understand the damage that pesticides do, the damage of the winter and so forth, but you mentioned something at the beginning about GMs. What's the evidence that GM crops are damaging bees?
Well, because we're genetically modifying our foods and they're not getting what they're